everybody! So this is my third in my videos on my top 50 animated countdown series. We're talking about my 20 to 11. So this is the penultimate video before my top 10. And so these are all films that I love. Number 20, I have Finding Nemo. Finding Nemo, I think, is one of the most beautiful Pixar films. It's so funny that I think that maybe that gets missed sometimes, but the seascapes are so beautiful. I mean, every corner of the screen is animated in one way or another. It does such a good job of maintaining momentum of both stories, of both the Nemo and Merlin stories. Every single gag works in this film. Everything they tried, I felt like worked. And they took some real risk, and there were some real surprises. I mean, like, when I saw the shark at the beginning, I would never have thought in a million years that it was going to be going to an AA meeting type thing. That was so funny and so charming. And, you know, the character of Crush was so well written and hilarious. And there's just so many things that I thought were so funny. And, you know, things like Darla in the dentist office. Number 19, I have The Tale of Princess Kaguya. In this movie, we talked about it in my 2014 review. This is a challenging film. It's one I totally get it. If it's not your cup of tea, I get it. It's a challenging film, but it is beautiful. And I just love the animation. This is an animation list. And I love the fact that every single frame of this film could be printed and posted and in a gallery. Like, that's how beautiful it is. And sort of the watercolor sketch style, and seeing the story of the bamboo princess. The father wants her to have what he thinks she deserves and to be this princess. But in reality, that's not what she needs, but she keeps being obedient to her father. And so as she does, she just keeps being more and more and more and more unhappy. And there's just brilliant sequences like these stories of the suitors are so gorgeously animated and exciting and unexpected and even a little bit funny. Film that takes some investment, at least for me. I think the Joe Hisaishi score is brilliant. The way that it adds to the flavor of the artwork. 18, I have Wally. And this is another film that I really think takes a little bit of investment. It's a movie that every time I've seen it, I like it more and more and more. And a lot of people don't really like the second half of Wally. But for me, I think that that's equally strong. I really do. I love the first half with the silent movie kind of portion of when he's just sort of getting things from around Earth and sort of getting his little collection, and then he meets Eva, and that is just charming and funny and a little bit scary at points. And of course, you got the Hello Dolly music, and sort of that it only takes a moment to love your whole life through. It's great. But what I love the most, actually, or it's one of my favorite things about this film, is when they get up to the space station, and basically like all these people in this station have all decided to become sort of satiated and happy with the bare minimum of life. And they just sort of satiated by entertainment. And they don't know any different because that was what their parents did, and that's what everybody kind of did. And so the captain is just kind of in that same boat. And he gets to see what there is out there for him and his life and what he could do. He gets to see it on the screen, all these different parts of life, and he just realized he could have this rich experience. I think that's really moving and beautiful, and then everything past that point, he has a renewed sort of vigor and enthusiasm for, and he's like this new person, and I love that. It's beautiful, and I'm just so curious to know how they do when they get to the planet and start this new adventure. I think that they do really well. And it's got, I think, the most beautiful CG of any film that Pixar or anybody else has done. The space ballet, basically, between Eva and Wally is stunning. Okay, number 17, I have 101 Dalmatians. This movie has a lot of things going for it that I think make it, that definitely make it a part of this list. You've got Cruella de Vil, one of the best villains in all of Disney. And I feel like now we've gotten to this point where like every villain has to be like complex and deep or whatever. But like the thing is you can have a all bad psycho villain. There's nothing wrong with that, but you have to make her really intimidating, and you have him or her, and you have to make it really feel like that person can win. And for me, Cruella de Vil totally fills that bill. I mean, she is doing all of this. She's killing puppies. It's like, is worse than that? Like, who kills puppies? She wants to kill puppies. And not only does she want to kill puppies, she wants to kill puppies for her wardrobe. I mean, that's just insane. And and so, but she comes so close to getting those puppies. I think the best scene in the whole film is when they're getting they roll in the soot and they have to get the puppies onto the moving van. That scene is so tense. There's also really charming things. I love Sergeant Tibbs. The cat is great. I think the Midnight Bark is really fun. I think you've got Pongo and Purdy, and the whole introduction of how he like sets Anita and Roger up, who are one of my favorite Disney couples. Number 16, I have The Incredibles. And yes, I have a lot of Pixar on this portion. That shows how much I love Pixar, is that so many of their films made it into my top 20. And I think Incredibles is an amazing story about work and how when you're not doing the thing that you are supposed to be doing in life, you are going to be miserable. And I think that Bob really shows that when he's working in the insurance company. And as soon as he starts doing something he believes in, he's a completely changed person. And I think it's a great story about a family and a family dynamic. And I think it has just a lot of humor with Edna and so many of the other scenes. I think it's beautifully animated. I think it's an exciting story. It's beautifully animated by Brad Bird as the director, and it's a great story about a marriage, which is really rare in a Disney film or a Pixar film, to have a marriage that actually has conflict and deals with the conflict. Number 15, I have The Many Adventures of Winnie the Pooh. And Winnie the Pooh is probably my favorite Disney character. Winnie the Pooh symbolizes childhood. And I think that there's actually a lot of creative risks that were taken in The Many Adventures of Winnie the Pooh, which I think it elevates it beyond just toddler fare. I mean, you've got the Heffalumps and Woozles number alone, which is pretty scary and different. You've got some real heart in the section with Tigger and wanting to bounce, and whether Rabbit will let Tigger be the person that is Tigger. And the way that Wolfgang Reithman was able to combine these three shorts that had been previously made into a film that to me feels like one concise film. And it doesn't feel like a package film to me. And I love the music by the Sherman Brothers is so great. And I think the ending, the way they were kind of tie everything together, was perfect, and it makes me cry every time I see it. 14, I have My Friend Totoro, and this film is a really simple film. It's basically about this creature that wants to protect these little girls and kind of the adventures that they have. It's very similar in tone and feel to Winnie the Pooh, actually. It's beautifully animated, it's sweet, it's simple, and it, sort of introduces us to many of these characters that would become iconic for Studio Ghibli. Very inventive in its own way, and sort of the creatures that are created and the way that they help these kids. Review, I described it as an adorable movie. It really is. Number 13 is my only entry from this year, and I may have to rework the list and put in Peanuts somewhere because I just loved that film so much. But for me, number 13 is Inside Out. And Inside Out now I've seen 6-7 times because now I have it on Blu-ray. And it just blows me more and more away every time I see it. The story arc that you get with Joy and how she learns that happiness is not fun. And or it's not always fun, that happiness is this richer experience, and it takes her a long time to sort of understand that. And it's not until she is literally in the memory dump, and she finally understands that why that was a core memory for Riley, and why all of a sudden these core memories were getting changed to sadness in the early part of the film. It's just beautiful, and I love the fact that Riley is basically like experiencing depression, and she's without sadness and without joy, and which is basically the emptiness of depression. I found that so moving, and the way they handled it was perfect. And I love the music. I love the character of Bing Bong, and the voice performance of Richard Kind, and that, you know, he's basically in the end has to sacrifice for Riley because he loves Riley, and that was really moving and beautiful. And I think Sadness is a really great character, and like the way that she experiences sadness by sort of empathy is sort of her version of sadness, was beautiful. And I loved the humor that you get spaced throughout the film. I loved the more, you know, you've got great lines from disgust and anger, which get most of the humor. You know, congratulations, San Francisco, you ruined pizza. It's great. And I thought it was also very thoughtful and had moments that really made you think about your own life. And it's one that every time I see it, I love it more and more and more and more. And I wouldn't be surprised if eventually down the line it's in this top 10. Number 12, I have Princess Mononoke. Princess Mononoke is a masterpiece from Hayao Miyazaki. It's basically this story about this battle between the humans and the spirits of the forest. It's brutal and bloody at times, but it's completely engrossing. We feel for both sides of this story. It can be violent at times, but that helps sort of add to this intensity of sort of this battle and what the stakes are and what they're willing to sacrifice. And I really like the characters, Princess Mononoke and everybody else. And it's a great epic war story that happens to be animated and happens to have a magical element to it. Number 11, I have Tangled. A lot about Tangled in my 2010 video because I really felt like it should have gotten nominated. I do think it is better than The Illusionist, and I thought it was beautiful the first time I saw it in 3D. You really just saw like the lushness of, it was the first Disney animated film I'd seen in 3D, and the lushness of things like the lantern scene in 3D was amazing, and I still think it looks beautiful. And it has such a great villain. I love her. Mother Gothel is amazing. That you know, she uses motherhood to control and manipulate. Like, that's so selfish and awful. And I think that makes her really compelling as a villain. I think that Rapunzel is a really likable character. She's somebody who's really insecure but sweet. And she's somebody that is very similar to my sister, so that was a lot of fun to see. And I love the relationship between Flynn and Rapunzel. It's really their first romantic comedy that Disney had ever done. I love romantic comedies, so for me, that really worked. A lot of people don't like the music. I like the music. I really think it's charming and sweet, and especially Mother Knows Best. I think it's just a great villain song, and I think it has moments of real great humor with Pascal and Maximus, and it's just a good story. Let me know what you think of my picks for this list. Put in the comments section, let me know, and thanks so much. Please subscribe to my channel. I'll talk to you later. Bye.